Good day to you, gentle person on the internet, and thank you for joining me as we take a look at Spincremental, which is a sort of an incremental game with a sort of a slot machine aesthetic. So it's interesting. We'll talk more about the aesthetics and things like this as we get a bit further in. First of all, I will say it starts off quite slowly and simply. You get to click and spin like that. But as you can see here, it gets pretty manic by the end game. I played through to pretty much filling out the skill tree and things like that. Played for a bit just to see where it would go. And yeah, there's a lot of action coming up for us in the future. But nevertheless, here we are back at the beginning. And a few things to cover before we jump in. First of all, full disclosure. I found out about this game because the developer is actually my first supporter. He sent me $10 on that's $10 as it were on buy me a coffee, and yeah, my first supporter. Extremely flattering, extremely honored. So thank you very much. I do appreciate that a lot. His name is SyncXD. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it the way he intends, but yeah, SANC, X and D. Yeah, thank you very, very much. Greatly appreciated. So he didn't pay me to cover the game or anything like that. I'm not going to say anything extra nice or whatever. He did just support me, and he said if I wanted to, let's grab the game and have a look at it. Now, I will say this isn't a game you can play in your browser. It is a game we have to download the client. I tried to get it to work through Wine because I'm on Linux, and while it did run, I couldn't move the mouse around. I couldn't move the mouse cursor. So Wine didn't work with this on Ubuntu Linux, but I then stuck it into Steam, as you can add sort of your own game into Steam just by adding the executable, and then run it through Proton, which is Steam's modified, expanded version of Wine. And as you can see, it works absolutely fine. So bravo, Steam. So we're just going to have a look at it. I will say I have mixed thoughts about this game for personal reasons, which I'll go through in a minute. But first of all, let's have a look at the UI. So we have two currencies. We have gold coins and we have dollars. As you can see, we have 0 of each. And we have a little slot machine in the middle, which is a wooden slot that we can click on. And when we click on it, it hops a little bit and then does a spin. And we didn't win anything because, slots. Hey, we won 777s. So we've won gold coins. And we've also won these things that pop out, in this case 7s, but they're normally something that relevant to the themes. That if we mouse over, we pick up and it turns into money, dollars. So that's how we get our two currencies. Every time we win on the sort of the reels, we get gold coins, and normally if we get some kind of triple bonus, these elements throughout that we then need to mouse over to pick up, and those give us the dollars. And so what we can do now is spend the dollars here in our UI on the right. Now this was a little complicated at first until I figured it out. First of all, top right is the settings page and things like that. Very good quality of life stuff. Perfect settings thing, including the reset progress button, which I have clicked and it worked absolutely fine. Yeah, bravo. And then there's a mute button on top of the quality of life sound controls in there, so very, very good. Now, how the tabs here worked, which took me a while to figure out. So you have two kind of main elements for each tab. So you have the kind of it's got like the home symbol, which is where you buy the items that we're looking at. In this case, we can buy a couple more slots to then click. They just appear somewhere randomly on the screen, and when you click them, they kind of hop to somewhere else. Thought I was going to get more 7s there for a moment. And then you have the upgrades view of this. So if we click on the upgrades view, if we earn $100, we can make all wooden slots give us a coin boost, a boost to these coins. So yeah, I think I will say, just as my first kind of critique, I think this needs a little bit more work and cleaning up in the way it looks. But as it stands, it works quite well. So for example, we are on the S here. So these other 4 tabs are kind of the 4 different sections. We have an S, we have 2 C's, which we'll unlock as we go along, and we'll see what those are, and then an M, which is for magnets. So we have these 4 tabs, each of which have a home section and an upgrade section. So yeah, we'll have a look at that once we unlock a few of those. But now the other thing, so that's where we spend our dollar currencies, is over here on the right hand menu. But the gold currencies we spend in our skill tree, which is down here. And I will say there is a big wishlist button here, which I do recommend clicking and going and wishlisting the game, because I think this is a pretty solid one if you like incrementals, and especially if you like slot machines and the gambling theme. Yeah, this is a good one. I'd say grab this and go and wishlist it and things like that. And the link to the itch.io page is in the description, but you can get straight to the Steam wishlist from here. Okay, so the other button, of course, takes us through to our skill tree, which is a pretty standard skill tree. I like the sparkles in the background here. It's quite nice. Oh, we can actually push the stars around. I didn't realize it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, just the aesthetics. Anyway, so we have one upgrade in the middle, which for 5 coins out of the 22 that we have. Again, I think these tooltips need a little bit more adjusting to be a little bit more easily readable. The amount of money versus the money that it costs is a bit strange in the center there of the tooltip. So you can see it sort of describes the upgrade and what the upgrade does. Then it says the level that we have, which is 0 out of 3. And then it says the cost versus the amount of money we have. We have 22 coins and it will cost us 5. That's what that sort of line means. And then the effect down at the bottom. So yeah, I would change the, like, you don't need to tell us how many coins we have on the tooltip for the thing that we're about to buy. You just need to have the cost somewhere, and I would put the cost down in sort of the bottom right corner or something like it. Just sort of say cost 5 or something like that, rather than this weird kind of line in the middle. Just a brief critique there. Look, it doesn't matter. I got used to it very, very quickly. It works absolutely fine. It tells me everything I need to know. But just as a new player, they're looking at this going, what does that mean? How do I buy something on this upgrade tree? Anyway, so that's what it is. So let's spend our 5 coins. We'll get that. And then we unlock other things. So what do we unlock? Well, we can only afford one of them, which is yellow. As you can see, it colors them in yellow if we can afford stuff. The white means we can't afford it. And then it goes green when we've maxed it out. So we can't afford another level of this thing because it costs us 250 coins. We only have 17. But of the things we have down here, we can spend 46 coins. Well, we can't at the moment, but we will be able to spend 46 coins to make our cursor have a slightly wider magnet on it, so that the things that spray out of the slots when we win, that we then need to mouse over to pick up, will have a slightly wider range of being able to pick up. That's what that one does. This one unlocks the spade card, which we want to work our way towards. That's a little thing that hops around the screen and clicks the slots for us. So that's quite valuable. That's the sort of the progression towards the idle element. And there's other sort of idle mechanisms as well, as you might have seen briefly in the view of the manic end game state. So we need to get that when we can, but that costs 280 coins. That's a little way away. And then these are now boosts to the wooden slots that we have. It's called the wooden slot because there's also a bronze and a silver slot that we will be able to unlock at some point. And this first upgrade will boost the triple chance on the wooden slot, so more likely to get a triple score. So if we click on that, we then unlock more things as well that we'll go through as we get along to them as well. For example, we can afford this one because it's 10 out of 10 coins, and it increases a double chance in the wooden slot. So yeah, let's just buy that while we can. And then over here is where we unlock the bronze slot, which is the next, we can get a bunch of wooden slots, and then we can start getting bronze slots as well, which have sort of different, I'm assuming, win percentages or whatever, or they're just more stuff to put on the screen. But we'll avoid that for a while. We'll try and max out as much as we can of the wooden slot until we get bored of that before going any further. Anyway, so here we are, and just what we need to do is start clicking on things. And what I am going to do is I'm going to talk about why this is kind of mixed feelings for me personally. Now, let's start by saying I used to go to casino a lot because I had a friend who was quite into sort of the casino setting and the casino kind of ambience and things like that. She liked the excitement of it. She liked the people. There's two types of gamblers really. There's the ones who are very, very solitary and focused on their machine or their table or whatever and don't really want to talk to anyone, just want to gamble. And then there's the social kind who are there because they want to chat to other people and have the fun and the excitement, the social bit. The two different kinds sort of hate each other quite extensively. Because of course they're quite different in their personalities. Yeah. So anyway, she was the social kind, and so she would go there and have fun and chat to people, and she was always very excited when she found someone else who was also social. They would have a chat and things like that. And that was, that to me kind of showed me the good side of gambling. If you can go there, if you can just spend the money that you've set aside for it, that you know you can afford to spend on it, that's entertainment money. And yeah, have a good time, enjoy the ambience, enjoy the aura and the theme and things like that. That is healthy gambling. That is where it is a fun hobby or pastime or whatever form of entertainment. Yeah, that is to me good gambling. That's how it should be. The other kind is a lot less healthy, where you're focused on it because you think gambling can make you money, where you can win on it. Unless you are a very skilled poker player, gambling will not make you money. The number of people who actually win from gambling are very, very small compared to the number of people who gamble and don't win, who just sink their money into the system and lose it. And there's no memory on the slots. It doesn't matter how many other people are losing. It's not going to make you more likely to win. You will also be likely to lose. That's not how probability works. So gambling is not a source of money unless you can, unless you are a very, very skilled poker player, because then you're not playing against the casino, you're playing against other people, and your skill is relevant there. So don't think of, and the reason why I say it's unhealthy is because people get addicted to it. People believe in the lies that the gambling industry will tell you about how you can win and how much money you're going to make and how amazing and profitable this is. It is not. You will not win. That is how the statistics works. That's how casinos make money from you, is by pretending that you can win and then showing that you cannot. There are little techniques you can use to get something out. Like if you enjoy slots and you don't mind losing money to the slots, but you have a good time playing them, then what you need to do is look for, especially in America and in Las Vegas and things like that, there's like big slot gatherings where lots of people come and play slots, and there's free food, and the slots percentages might be adjusted to make you a bit more likely to win and things like that, because then the casinos are making money from people coming to stay at the hotels and stuff like that. You will still end up paying money because the casinos do this to make a profit, but it will be fun, and you'll get food out of it, and you'll get probably discounted hotel hotel costs and all of that kind of stuff. The kind of thing where they have stripped the cost down to the point where this is now an affordable holiday where you get to do something you enjoy, which is playing the slot machines. You're not going to make money out of it, but you will have, in essence, a cheaper holiday doing something that you find fun. So that is the correct way to play kind of slot machines. But if you think you're going to win big in the slot machines, you are not going to. That is not how they work. Casinos make profits. They take your money away from you. They don't give you money. And the whole thing is an illusion set up to make it pretend like they're giving you money, but they don't. They take it away from you. Anyway, the point of my rant is, it used to worry me when I saw often elderly people sort of sitting very focused, very concentrated on their slot machines or whatever, or their video pokers and things, furiously playing it and sinking money into it. And I don't know what their motivation actually was, but I kind of assumed, and I still do believe, that their motivation was to make money. They were convinced that they were going to win and win the big bucks, and would lead a happy life or whatever. I don't know, maybe some of them were just really enjoying it, and this is what kind of made them feel, or something like that. It was an edge to their playing that gave them distinct pleasure. I don't know, maybe it was that. Maybe I've been too negative about it. Um, but I don't know, but it worried me a lot. So when I see slot machines and things like that, it always makes me think of these poor elderly people possibly throwing their retirement savings away, stuff that they couldn't really afford to lose because they were wrapped up in this illusion that they could at some point, be a big winner and make money from it. And what it was is they were occasionally winning and making just enough money to convince them that this was actually possible. But over time they lost money, and if they'd spent all that time and effort and energy in something else that might have brought them, some kind of income or something like that, they would have made more money over time with the same amount of work, the same amount of effort. The casino takes your money; it doesn't give it to you. It pretends to give it to you and might give you a little bit just to keep you hooked, and all of that kind of stuff. And maybe you're the one person in a million who beats the odds and wins a big payout. But I've seen the histories of people who win big, and a lot of them sink it all back into the casino in weeks or months, because they think it could happen again, or they're addicts or something like that. So yeah, casinos are something that should be a little bit of fun, but they make huge amounts of money from people who believe the lies that casinos then present to you. Without explicitly saying it. They don't say, "Oh, you are going to win if you play this." They say, "Oh, look at all this aura of money and excitement and things like that. You could be part of this. Come and play our games." And people interpret that as, "Oh, I could win big playing this." And no, you can't. Sorry, but that's not how it works. Because if it was how it works, casinos would make profits, and casinos are very, very profitable. They steal a lot of people's money. And I call it stealing because of the misinterpretations of the aura of casinos. Yeah. Yeah, casinos, man. You just can't believe them. Anyway, so that is my negativity towards slot aesthetics. But that is very much a personal thing. That's just my stress about it. And the reason I say mixed feelings is I like to see games like this, because this might give the people who are addicted to the vibe of slot machines that kind of thrill. I'm hoping that kind of vibe without them actually spending money to it, because people like slot machines for different reasons. There are other people who unfortunately think that it is a pathway to big money. And yeah, there's, without sort of them learning how statistics and probability and things works and how casinos work, there's no real solution for that. These people are always going to think that they're going to win big. And yeah, I don't know. But then there are people who also feed off the excitement and are actually addicted to this excitement of it. Where you spin and something happens and there's exciting stuff, and maybe you get money, or maybe you lose money that you can't actually afford to lose, and all of that gives you these sort of emotional bursts, which are wrapped in with endorphins and dopamine and all of that kind of stuff. That feeds addictions and things like that. So my hope is that a game like this can feed those cravings, those addictions, without consuming the amount of money that gambling does, and without being the destructive influence on people's lives that gambling can be, that gambling is. And I've had other friends who struggle because they are addicted to one level or another. These people, they have children, they have costs and expenses, they are living in very cheap houses in very bad areas, despite both parents having jobs and things like that, because when they have a bit of money, or sometimes when they have a bit of credit or something like that, the addiction takes hold and drags them into a casino. Yes, it is an addiction like drugs. Casinos are bad from that perspective, and especially online casinos where you're playing, you're not even going into a casino, you're not even having that experience of going into this location that is fun and exciting and glitzy, and people are actually quite nice to you sometimes, depending on the quality of the casino that you go to. And there's this whole experience that going to a casino is. That's part of the fun, part of the healthy fun side of it. Even though it isn't a lure to get you in there, it's part of the healthy fun. People are essentially being nice to you to get you come in, and at the very least people are being nice to you. But you get people who then play online casinos in their browser, or not even in their browser, in a downloadable client at home, and that steers, as far as I'm concerned, a lot more to the unhealthy side of gambling. Sorry, this is turning into a rant. I didn't want to get into a ranty video today, but that is the nature of it. And I'm just buying the upgrades to try and make these slots give us more, so we upgrade a little bit quicker. It's quite hard figuring out an optimal sort of upgrade path through here. This is a complicated skill tree, and it gets pretty big. So yeah, I just buy everything that I can afford, everything that's got that little yellow box around it, and hope that gets me there. I mean, I did get to the sort of the end game state fairly quickly. There's a very good bit of playability in here, especially when the idle elements kick in. That's actually quite fun as well. Let's keep getting these. I wonder where the unlock was, because there's an unlock to make it spin when you just mouse over it instead of having to click on it. Let's see if I can find that somewhere in the skill tree. Let's just grab all my cash over here. Let's have a look at the skill tree. Can we get this yet? No, we can't. We're nearly there. I wonder if it was down here. Yeah, here it is. Alright, so that's mouse over. I like this. I think this should be cheaper, because I think it saves your mouse and your mouse finger a lot more. So I would cheapen this so you don't have to click on them. You can just mouse over them. As you can see, it costs 2,500, which we are a little way away from. Anyway, let's buy the things we can afford. I don't want to unlock the next slots until I've, as much as possible, as much as I can bring myself to, maxed out the wooden slots. But I do want to get to the mouse over, because I think that's quite valuable. Alright, we do need to unlock that as well. I've forgotten what I was saying. I've forgotten what I was ranting on about. I guess this does give that kind of vibe of the old folks, because I don't know if you've ever seen those people that sort of sit and play slot casinos in that focused, kind of determined way. And I mean, they get determined. There's people who will wear like diapers to so that they don't need to leave their slot to go to the bathroom. They'll just go right there in their chair, and it means that kind of smell of someone who's gone to their diapers is one of the telltale signs of the hardcore slot machine addicts in a casino like that. Yeah, and that must be a bit of a sort of a decision pathway for the casino owners, because I mean it is in their benefit to support the addiction, because they make more profit out of it. But do you want a stinky person in your casino? I guess it depends how much money you're getting out of them. And yes, that is how these organizations think. They will endure negative influences as long as they're making sufficient profit about it. If that stinky person is paying more money than 5 people who might be turned off by the stinky person, then they will keep the stinky person, and maybe try and do something about getting the smell away. I don't know. It is unhealthy. There is a lot of unhealthiness along the edge of the gambling industry. That's why people get quite upset about it. I don't have any moral things about it. I think it's absolutely fine if you've made some money to spend it on things that are fun. And if gambling in a casino is fun, if you enjoy that thrill, then yeah, that's a good thing to have. But yeah, I don't know. It's something worth being wary about. Over and above any kind of moral sense, there's very rational reasons to be careful about it. But this is actually very immersive fun. It really focuses me in here. I do get not addicted to this, but I do get zoned in. And I was saying that's where it kind of gives me the vibe of these very focused people who play, because because they do just get zoned in, and they just get into the routine of running the machines and things like that. So I'm not even looking at the upgrade tree, I'm just going in circles around it. Alright, let's boost our slots. Okay, we've maxed that out. We can buy more slots here as well, but that's not great because now we have more things to click on. It'd be a lot easier if I could one more. If I could mouse over them or have the automated thing. So let's work our way towards the automated thing, and then I will show you, once we've got that, what the other idle elements look like, because they're interesting, because this game doesn't really lend itself to full core idleness, but there are elements that then do, especially by the end game, take over and allow you to kind of treat it sort of like an idle game. You can in fact wander off and then come back to more of the sort of currency sitting in your values up there. And we will see that in a moment. Just need to get the mouse over things so that my button clicking finger doesn't fall off from too much clicking. It does make a big difference, that mouse over thing. We are there. We are almost there. We can boost the slot's income for a moment. We'll get another slot, is what I mean there. Oh, we're almost there. Just check here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. Gotta get those coins. Am I trying to buy anything here? No, that's maxed out. I think we can buy more upgrades that increase the max. The reason why I had more slots to buy, more than just the 5, is that there was one of the upgrades in the skill tree. So I sort of like that, where it, you know, the purchases from one skill tree, I mean, this is essentially another skill tree, just shaped differently. So purchase from one, then unlock things in the other. I mean, it's nice to have that symmetry, but it does add kind of complexity to the game UI, and I don't know if that's a good thing. To me, simplicity in a game UI is kind of what you want to work towards. You don't want sort of one related function spread out over very sort of far distances, because people get confused and have to go hunting for it and remember the interlates and all of that kind of thing. I don't know. It's a factor. Okay, we have now reached the mouse over point, so let's go and get that. So it's just one unlock there. We can actually buy this as well. We have enough for it, so we will purchase that. Alright, does that give us at least one? Yeah, well, you see, we've unlocked this tab now. So as I was saying, for the S, for I suppose slots, we have these two sort of meta tabs that allow us to buy different things. I don't know why this is telling. But we now have a new tab over here called C for cards, where we can now buy these spade cards, which we have enough money for. So we have 2 of them, which add these things to the screen. And what they do is they hop like that. And if they hop next to a slot, they will then spin it. And then, yeah, so you see he just jumped over there and spun that spot. So that's the idle mechanism. If you leave these alone, they will just spin the slots. Now, they don't pick up the stuff that gives you dollars. They only sort of spin the slots and give you the coins. But at least it's something. It's half the idleness. And we can also upgrade them by giving their sort of sphere of influence a wider thing. Although that doesn't affect too much at this sort of level. I probably shouldn't have spent money onto it, but I like to get these things maxed out, because the slots are quite spread out. But eventually, when we get a lot of these sort of slot machines on the screen, they can hit several at once with a nice wide sort of area of influence. It doesn't get very wide though. It's not like it sort of covers half the screen. It gets like sort of that wide, so they will sort of trigger 2 or 3 slots, but it's sufficient sort of later game, things like that. And yeah, we get more of them, and then there's also cursors. I think that's what this other C here is for. A cursor that drifts around and then clicks on slots if it occasionally when it comes across them. And we can get multiple of those. And then the M is for magnets that drift around and pick up these coins here. Not coins, the things that give you dollars here. So it gets pretty idle near the end of it. You can still make it go faster if you come back and sort of mouse over your slots and pick up the stuff by moving the cursor over them. But it is quite pleasing to have the thing just playing for like 10 minutes while you move away from it, and then you come back and you mouse over it, and there's just huge amounts of income, and then you can buy upgrades and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, from that side of things, the game is actually pretty well structured. But it is. This is the other thing I wanted to talk about. Like, there are slot machines that, I mean, not slot machines, incremental games. There are incremental games that I normally play. The ones that sit in your browser, because they're very quick to get to. They're just like a short experience. So you just play them. For a little while and get to some kind of end state, and then you're satisfied. You've played the game, you've gotten to kind of the quote-unquote end of the game, even if it doesn't have like a formal ending screen or whatever, and you've enjoyed it. And they're normally quite short. This one is longer. It takes you longer to get the money. It takes you longer to get the incrementals and things like that. This is just a demo for the full game, which is like I said, wishlistable on Steam. Click on the button, go wishlist it, give the dev some love. But yeah, so it takes longer to get there because this is now a downloadable client. This isn't to play in your browser. This is something that you're going to go and get and download and install and get working. So it does need to be a longer experience. So while I don't really like the longer incremental game experiences, I like it where it gives you this sort of short, sharp burst of, oh, here's, you've made some purchases and now things are more manic almost immediately and it's all crazy and fun. And that's kind of what I normally like about them. It's that endorphin surge that it promises and kind of gives us. And this is kind of not quite that. It is a lot slower. So kind of my general experience of incremental games is in that the browser incremental games that are quick, that get you there quickly. So I need to sort of mentally adjust to this kind of game. To get it to the point where I'm not expecting it to play too quickly, to sort of take more time to get to where we can get with it. That's quite a good one. Yeah. So that was a mental adjustment. It's something I think the devs need to consider. Sort of how fast do you want the game to play through versus how easy is it to get to it, and how much do you want to promise to people in the full game a much longer experience that's actually worth spending money on. Yeah, that's a difficult balance. It's a difficult one. I don't have an answer for it, but I do recommend that the devs sort of think carefully about that. Yeah, let's go through to our skill tree and boost things a bit. What have we got here? We can make them spin faster. That's nice. We give them a chance to auto spin again. Wow, we've maxed out on that one, but it means they now have an 8% chance to, once they finish spinning, spin again. I assume that's what it means. And then we can make them give us more coins. It keeps calling them wooden coin mastery. It means the coin mastery for the wooden slot, rather than actually giving us wooden coins. It gives us the gold coins. So maybe that phrasing needs to be reconsidered. I mean, it's fine. It makes sense when you know what it's talking about. Which actually does bring me to a critique that I wanted to make. And I nearly forgot about, is that this game doesn't really have a tutorial. I've kind of figured all this out by just playing the game. And I like to say in my videos that tutorials are important because they give the player a warm welcome to the game. Not only just teach them how to play, and of course not knowing how to play the game and things like that is frustration that will drive people off. But tutorials are also important because they put the player, if it's a good tutorial, if it gives a positive experience that the player likes, they are a good way of sort of saying, hey, welcome to the game, come on in, I care about you as a player, We're going to have a fun time. You know, here is some enjoyment immediately off the bat. You know, so have a tutorial with like some jokes in it and a little bit of action. Maybe gives them a little bit of lore and things like that. And make it so the tutorial is skippable, of course. You need to be able to click on it with a separate button that say play the tutorial. That'll take you through all the gameplay mechanics, show you how this quite complicated UI works. Which is yeah, I'd say it's pretty damn important for the reasons I given. So I think this game does need a bit of a tutorial experience to try and get the player to come in and go, hey, this is what we're doing. You know, here is some background behind the game. Here is how the UI is laid out. Here is how everything works. I definitely don't leave that for the full game. You know, don't go, okay, this is just the demo. Players can figure it out, because the demo is what's showing people what your game's going to be like. And if they have a miserable time in the demo, they're definitely not going to go look at the full game. So yeah, so try and get your demo to give them as positive an experience as possible. It's not just about, hey, this is what my game's going to be like. It's, hey, this is how my game is going to be fun. Yeah, and I think that's important. I think players need to have that in the demo so that they can come through to the main game and go, okay, I'm now expecting fun from it, and I have already a positive view towards this game. Even though I haven't even played the main game yet, I've only played the demo. You know, that's what you want to leave players with the demo in particular. Yeah, I don't know. I just think this game really does need a demo. And the other thing that I think this game needs is the ability to drag the damn slots around. Like it is fun, it is interesting to have the slots hopping around as you mouse over them. So like when I spin a slot, it hops. And I think when you know, they do roughly average out, and then you can come and spin them, and then they get all messed up again. But I would really like the ability to turn the hoppity off and be able to click and drag them around and just line them up, so I can then mouse over them in sort of smooth, comfortable lines. Maybe that would make it a bit too easy. Maybe half the challenge is kind of getting to them where they've hopped. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It sort of bugs me on a very subtle level that they are scattered, and they're kind of the organizer part of my brain wants to go, oh, you know, so it's tidy these up, put them in straight lines, and I had to kind of mentally let that go and try and ignore the fact that they are scattered around. So I mean, I don't know if it will mess with the gameplay mechanics or things like that, but have an option where, you know, well, my recommendation would be have an option where you can turn off the hoppity thing and be able to actually move these slots into a pattern. Maybe put it so you can't put the slot on top of another slot. It has to be like a very small gap between them, so that you can't just stack them and have, you know, a stack that you can click on. But the ability to tidy them up on the view, have a grid that they can click to, or something like that, would, I think, reduce the chaos, but hopefully not in a way that makes it less fun. I don't know, or maybe that's not how people who play slots think about it. You know, if that's the case, let me know in the comments and I'll shut up about this. But I personally do think that this needs to be tidy-upable. Or maybe that's just me playing all those cleaning games coming through. I don't know. Anyway, so that's it. And you know what? I think I've said enough about this game. I think I have talked about it enough. I think I've showed off how it plays. Is there anything interesting we can unlock in the skill tree? Where are those curses? There we go. We can unlock these basic curses. So this is sort of the other idle element that we were unable to unlock. We've got them here now. And we can get these curses that then drift around the screen and click on things. I think they get to it and they will, if they stop on something, they will click on it. So it's sort of like these hoppity guys. I don't know if that's an okay gameplay. I mean, it's fine once you have a lot of slots on the screen. It's actually quite clever from that perspective. But yeah, it did take a while to get to the idle element. I don't know. I know the dev, I think he did say in the comments, he is still working on balancing the game out, and kind of getting all that kind of stuff done, which is an incredibly difficult task. Game balance, even for fairly simple games, is a mission. There's a lot of variables to consider. So with something with this complex, like a skill tree and upgrade tree and all that kind of stuff, all you can do is kind of play and experiment and sort of see how it works and how it plays and how people have the experience when they play with it. So I don't envy the dev that task, and it is something that is still being worked on. But yeah, I don't know. I think working towards the development. I was starting to sign off and I got distracted, and I think that's always a good sign of a good game, is when it distracts me from what I'm trying to do, because the game is distracting me. Right. Anyway, how can I upgrade their speed? All right. So, I think I've given enough critique, I've shown enough gameplay. The link is in the description. Come and play this game. It is a good one. Come and give it a wish list, because if you're into incremental games at all, and especially if you're into the kind of that gambling aesthetic, the gambling vibe, this is a solid one to have sitting in your portfolio, to add it to your stack of games, to give you a little bit of enjoyment now and again. So yeah, that would be my recommendation there. Is come and wish us the game, come and play the game, come and give it a rating on itch.io, come and give the dev some love, and let's get it out there for people who like this kind of stuff to look at, which is what I'm trying to do here with you. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope the developer's happy with me having a look at the game, because I'm very happy with the support that I received. Thank you very much again. Do appreciate it. And I hope you guys are having a good time, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.